Hey everybody, and welcome to the third video in which we're going to talk a bit more about Fusion 360. Now if you haven't watched the first two videos, make sure you check them out. We have some good information in them, and in this one we're going to dive in a bit deeper into some of the things you can do with Fusion 360, some of the constraints, and how to use projecting as well. So let's go ahead. Now the first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to change the background, because personally for me having the background as white is kind of hard on the eyes. So what you do is go to the display, the environment, and you can choose any of the other presets. So I'm going to go with the gray room for now because it's much easier on the eyes and it's easy to work with. Alright, so let's start off by creating a sketch. I'm going to press S and from here choose my create sketch. Again, if you followed the previous videos, you know how to put your shortcuts in your shortcut menu. So create sketch, choose where I want to create it. I want to create it on the XY scale, so just click it over here. And now, once we're here, I'm going to start off by creating a couple of different shapes. So let's create some circles. Size for now doesn't really matter. We can control that thing later. So let's control that like this. Add in 3 random, doesn't really matter where they are. So I'm gonna press L now to go into a line creation. Now have one thing in consideration is when you're creating a line in your sketch, if you go over the surface of a circle, you're gonna see that this X appears. It means that this line will be snapped to the circle. So I'm gonna click on the line and draw all the way back to, or all the way down to another one. And here you can see that again it snaps. So I'm gonna snap it like here, and then click and drag up to here. And then let's just go ahead and create one more line like this, one up, hold down the click, just drag out one like this. Alright, let's put it at an angle and maybe get one like this and just snap it to the end over here. Okay, so with this sketch that we've just did, we can see it's finished because now the entire inside of it got blue. Now what I want to do is I want to make this thing a surface that we can extrude and basically make into a 3D model. But for now, I have some extra lines I need to thin out or remove. So first of all, let's check out and see what kind of constraints I have, because I've already created this thing. If I go over here, you're going to see this little icon. If you select it, it's telling it over here down at the bottom, it says tangent constraint. So this circle here is tangent constraint to this line, but it is not tangent to this line, but this line is tangent to this. Now before I do anything else, what I want to do is, like I said, I want to trim out some of the excess lines that I have here. To do that, all you have to do is go over to modify and trim, or you can always just use the shortcut T. Now the way the trim works, it's going to go over a line like this one, and it will highlight it as a color. Now I'm saying a color because based on what sort of a background you have, like here on the environment, it's going to give you a bit of a different color. So click over here, that's going to get rid of that internal line. I'm going to click over here and click over here. Now with that, it's telling me that what I did here, one of the constraints got removed, but that's okay because it's not a problem. We're going to redo the constraints on this entire thing. So I'm going to go back to select, and now we saw previously that over here we have this tangent constraint. So I want to have the same tangent constraint on this line as well as on this line. So the way we do this is we can click here on the tangent and then start selecting, or we can select this line, hold down shift, select the other one below it, and now if we click on tangent, those two become tangent lines. Now this thing is selected, so I can continue selecting which lines I want to be tangent with what. So in this case, if I click over here and click here, I don't have to hold shift anymore because I'm in the tangent tool. I can make these two lines tangent. So I can click here and click here. And again, now those two lines are tangent. All right, so let's check out and see some of the other constraints in here, how they work. Let's say I want to take this line and I want to make it horizontal. The easiest way to do it is just put a horizontal vertical constraint on it. It will always make it horizontal or vertical depending on the orientation the line has. And if you take a look at over here, you're going to see this little icon. And if you select it, it says this is a horizontal constraint. And if you select this one, it's going to give you the vertical constraint. So even though it's the same constraint, depending on the way it's angled, it's going to be either horizontal or vertical. Now we're going to go over to this side, and we can see that over here we have the tangent sign. So we can go click tangent and make this thing tangent to this side. There we go. And also what I can do now here is select this line and put a constraint to it as well. There we go. And the last thing I want to do is I want to make these two the same height. So the way to do that is you select this line, hold on, shift, select this one, and now you have the parallel constraint. Oh, actually, no. What I actually do want to do is, if I want to make both of them on the same size or the same level, what we want to do is we want to use the collinear constraint. So there we go. So now they're both the same height or the same. Now what I want to do next is I want to add in a couple of more circles in here. So I'm going to select and press C to start adding in circles. I can put them up pretty much anywhere on the sketch I want, and the size really doesn't matter that much. So let's try 1, 2, and 3. All right, so with these 3 circles, I want to put them in over here in these places, because as you can see, every place that we've actually made a circle previously, we can see its center. And we're going to use those centers to basically overlay with this center of the circles that we just created. But before we do that, what I want to do is I want to get this thing centered to the 0, 0, 0 origin of our sketch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click over here and hold on shift, click over here, and just make it coincident. There you go. So this moved those two and made them basically one on top of the other. Let's select this, and I'm going to select again the same thing. Click here, hold on shift, click here, make it coincident. And now when we're in the coincident, we can just click and put it over here, click and put it over there. All right. Now I'm going to press D so I can dimension the size of these, and let's put it to 10 millimeters like this. That's fine. And I can also make it so that all of these holes are with the same dimension, and in order to do that we need to put a constraint on them. And the way to do that is you select this one, hold on shift, select this one, and just click on equal. That is going to make sure that both of these are equal. I'm going to click this one again with this one, and there we go. So we can see now over here we have 2 icons or 2 markers telling me that this hole here is equal with these 2. So if I go over here now and increase this as to maybe like 20 millimeters, it's going to get bigger. We need to make sure it just doesn't go through it. So let's try something smaller. 15. All right, 15 works. That's just great. And well, this pretty much works for now. So let's finish the sketch with this. I'm gonna click OK. We can add in another hole, but that's not actually needed here. So finish the sketch. Now I'm gonna go over to our face in here, and I can either click on the extrude, or I can right click and choose extrude. Now, as I've said in the previous videos, when you right click on something, in the drop-down menu, it will generally give you the most logical conclusions, or the most logical options that you can do with that selection. So we're going to go extrude, and let's give it a width of extrusion of 10 millimeters. But before I click on accept, what I want to do is I want to make this thing extrude in both sides. I want to have a positive and negative. So what this means, I need to change the direction here. So I can go to one side, two sides, or symmetric. Now if I go two sides, it will basically give me the option to choose how far it goes on either side, but I want to make this symmetric. So I'm going to click on symmetric, make sure the operation is a new body, and click OK. All right, so now we have this thing as our 3D part. What I want to do now is I actually want to add on to this model. So what I mean by this is right here, I want to add in another body coming at an angle, at a given angle, and intersecting with this body and joining with it. The way to do this with Fusion 360, you have a couple of ways. And here we're going to take a look at one of the more interesting ways that Fusion does things. It kind of took me a bit of time before I could wrap my head around it, but this is called projecting. And the way that projecting works is actually really simple. All you have to do is just press P to start project, or just go into your shortcuts and just look for the project or project button. So I'm going to click here, and now the first thing that I want to select is where I want this thing to be projected. In my case, since I know that my body is in this middle of our place here, I can actually click on this plane that is the XY plane, and then as soon as I click on it, I can start sketching on it. But now, since this is a projection, it's going to ask me where I want to project this, or where I want to project this spline or line that I'm about to create. So what you're going to notice is when I hover above any of these faces, I can see the indication for this red line that can be created. If I go over just a single line, we can see that it's only going to leave one point. Now in my case, I want this point to be right here, so I'm just going to click on this line, click and click OK. Now what this does is going to leave this point in my line, and the good thing about this point is that now when I go to the front and I start to create a line, because I have that point over there, I will be able to snap onto that point. So now I know for a fact that the middle point is right where I wanted this thing to be, and exactly where I want my line to basically go to. So I'm going to click on it. Now I can extract a line. Now as I'm moving the line around, you can see that I have two values changing over here. One is for the length of the line, while the other one is degrees. Now if I tab click here, I can specify exactly at which or what angle I want this line to come over to my body. Now let's put this thing to a 45-degree angle and press enter. And now this means that this line will be locked at 45 degrees. So I can click on this vertex here and move it around, or this point, and the angle will always be left at 45. Now I'm going to click on finish sketch, and with this what I have is I have this thing as a line to help me with my plane that I want to create, or my creation plane. We're about to see how it works. So far, one of the things that we did learn is that the way that Fusion 360 works is you make a sketch, then you either extrude it, and then you can chamfer or fill it. But what happens in, for example, in this case, we want to make another sketch that would be the shape of this body, but the actual construction plane is not on our origin. As you can see over here, we have 3 construction planes, but this one comes off at an angle. Well, in order to be able to create anything, now we need to go ahead and construct a new plane for drawing on top of it. Now, if you go over here, we have a bunch of different options on how to create those planes. In this case, this is the one that we want. This plane along path. Now, when you click on it, it's only going to ask you to specify which plane or which path you want this plane to be created on. Now, since we already created this line, I'm going to click on it, and what you see is right away we have this new plane created. We can move it around wherever we want it. I'm just going to move it all the way to the end, and you can also change the distance over here where 0 is 0, so 1 is percentage wise. I'm going to put it all the way up to 1 and click OK. Now, once we did this, you can now notice that we have another construction plane. So if I go over and create a sketch and I can click on this line, this will be basically made as the line on which we can start our drawings. Now I'm going to make this very simple. I'm just going to drag out one circle, maybe give it, let's try 17. All right, looks like a good size. Press enter, and we have this circle done. I'm going to click on finish sketch because I don't really need much else. Now, the way to connect these two is actually very simple. All you have to do is select our circle, you go to extrude, and now we draw it back on this side. And here, as you can see, we can choose what we want to do. We can choose to go with the direction on one side, and the extent type is distance. When it's distance, we control how far this thing goes. If I click on all, it will go all throughout the entire body and end up on the other side. But now the problem here is that it turns into a red one, or a red color, and basically it's cutting through our object, which is not what we want. We can change the operation to join, and this way it kind of joins with the already existing body. Now this is exactly what we want, but what I'm going to do here for now is I'm actually going to change this, not go to all, but instead I want to go to object. Now, when you go to object, it will allow you to choose how far. So if I click over here, what you're going to notice is this thing will get to that point, and then it's going to stop. I want the operation to be as joined, and click OK. And there we go. So this now helps us to create whatever sort of a object we want to add into our already existing body, and choose whatever angle we want with the help of the projection and this line. And it's always an easy way to basically make your simple models much more complex if it requires you to go into that complexion. So with this, we're pretty much finished with our third video. And if you've managed to watch all the way through here, I salute you. You are one of the rare 15 to 20% of people who managed to see the video up through this point. So I hope you guys had fun and you managed to learn something new from this video. If you would like to support me, you can click the join button, and the direct links will be in the description below. And the most helpful thing, as always, is you can just click the like and subscribe buttons and leave your comments below in the video. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.